I just hired my friends and I was like, let's just never let anybody know that we don't know what the we're doing, and let's do this thing. And we did. The first people we were hiring, or the only people we were hiring, were our friends and people that we liked working with. Like, I need talented people alongside me to make these projects. I can't do them by myself. And I don't pretend like I can do them by myself. I was really hiring the best of the best from the UCF Film program.
I feel like the pressure is on.
My name is Rachel Gross, and I was the first editor at what was formerly Oxenfree Design.
My name is Carrie Wilson. I was a producer / project manager.
I'm Kristi League. I was an editor, a lead editor at one point. I knew of Ben before I even knew Oxenfree was a thing in general. First saw Babies at the fall showcase at UCF. I watched it and said, what the hell was that? I kept the name in my memory of who directed this, and then years later, we're working together. I would have never thought that, but I'll never forget that visceral reaction I had to that film, being like, that guy is weird.
The work that Ben did in college just felt very fresh compared to a lot of the stuff a lot of other people were doing. Ben and I ended up co-editing his second short film, Burp Together. Hopefully, I think I instilled a level of trust in Ben, so he brought me on afterwards to do some Oxenfree stuff.
It was just kind of a spur of the moment thing where you guys just called me. I was quitting my job and I just got a text that said, Ben wants you to come in tomorrow. But okay, well, good thing I just quit, so I'll be right there. You know, it was literally just bring your laptop, walk right in, here's some stuff, here's a select timeline, cut something together. And then Ben just took that and just dropped it in, and I said, okay, is that my job? I guess that's my job now. It's just that.
Ben at one point came up to me and was like, how do you feel about hiring a producer? And I was like, I don't know if I can afford it. Ben's like, what if we split it?
They were splitting me. I was like, doing the same thing for both of them. If Ben was a little slower, Christian had something that I can do, and vice versa. I was just like a little overwhelmed at first because I was like, oh my God, there's real clients and I've never done a real world job before, but it was really fun.
Sometimes we'd be in that office and there would be like 2 editors, like an intern of mine, an intern of Oxenfree's, and like someone sitting on the ground.
It must have been the size of like a walk-in closet, and it was space enough for 4 chairs, and we would all back out and hit each other, basically.
Almost every day at the end of the day, when that last hour or so rolled around, we started having what we would call these smash breaks.
The point of it was to motivate us to get things done, so we had something to look forward to.
We would name our characters something that made us angry in the week or just annoyed us. So it was a really fun way to blow off steam a little bit.
It was multiple creative people in a room. If you finished a project, you were like implored to show every project. As small as it was, like as dumb as you thought it might have been, you get like this feedback. It makes your stuff feel important. It was really like the first time I felt like I was a part of a creative space and I was a part of a creative collaboration. Even though I wasn't part of Oxenfree's team officially, that was the first taste for me to see like, oh, like this is more than just like Ben making videos.
We had ambitions of doing commercial work and projects for the brands we loved here in Orlando, and we just had no portfolio that could show them what we could do for them. It was like, hey, pizza parlor, I have this church film. Can you see how I could make you a pizza film? And it was like, no, what? There's nothing about pizza in here. And it took us years, I think, to finally get opportunities to do projects that actually challenged us to our full potential. It was honestly probably until we did projects like the spec project for Crap and Common and Born and Bred, where it was like, oh, now you get to see what we're capable of when someone trusts us all the way.
Treating commercials, treating documentaries, treating just one-off interviews like they're a huge like cinematic projects that you didn't think you had to think that way. Like Oxenfree was thinking that way.
I saw kind of Oxenfree go from making these like really awesome projects for local companies to one day it was like Coca-Cola called us. That same idea of like we're gonna do really, really good work has carried over now and people have noticed. And I remember really thinking like, this is probably the start of the rest of Oxenfree.
So as Oxenfree grew, we started to notice how confusing our name being Oxenfree Design was. And we really just wanted to be called Oxenfree. So we kind of had this idea of like, well, what if we just made the ending long so that hopefully people just dropped that and just called us Oxenfree. So I reached out to this Indian graphic designer and we kind of went back and forth. and trying to come up with a way to integrate an aux and film and video production. Somehow bring these two together. And that's the logo we have today. That icon, for some reason we called it Charlie. It just kind of stuck. And I think it's a really strong icon for us to move forward with into the future.
When I was part of the Oxenfree team, I felt like we were growing really fast. Everything was just whew. And when people ask me, like, what have you done? I'm like, everything. I've done corporate, I've done doc, I've done commercials, I've done whatever. And that was all just within that 1 year at Oxenfree. I think it made me more confident as an editor in the future and being like, yes, I am creative. Yes, my decisions and my choices are valid and are actually something people should listen to. I don't think I would have had that confidence if I didn't start at Oxenfree.
I genuinely don't think I would have been where I am today without getting those first early years with Oxenfree. I mean, just instill that confidence that like, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing. I am actually good at it and I should continue it.
It's amazing looking back and be like, well, I was able to do all that with that much. And we like executed the shit out of it. And being able to have that experience really speaks to the type of production manager that I am today.
Just the way I am as an editor is because of Oxenfree. My little pancake timelines, the markers, the whole thing. And then sometimes I'll show people what I'm doing. They'll be like, huh, I would have never thought of that. And I'm like, that's just an Oxenfree thing I picked up. I still put Oxenfree on my resume. I don't think I'm ever gonna take it off.
I think those early days, Oxenfree felt very much like an incubator. It was like we'd develop people, we'd bring people in, we'd train them in our ways, and then they would move on to bigger and better things. They would go to LA and bring those skill sets there. And it was like, dang, all right, now I got to train somebody else from the ground up.
You kind of started to see the rise of level of work go up, and it was like, oh, here we go. You know, like this is it. Like this is kind of where Ben and Danny have been talking about going. And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh, everything's done.
Yeah, we had some great momentum coming out of 2019 and going into 2020, co-directing projects for Publix. And I was directing huge green screen campaigns for Tires Plus. And it was like, oh man, my directing career is like kicking off. And then the shutdown happens. And all these shoots got canceled. We had a brand film we were about to start that weekend. This commercial with the Olympics and Coca-Cola got canceled. Suddenly we're scrambling to figure out like what we should do next.
I remember getting the emails myself, like almost like in 2 days, getting like 6 emails. It's canceled, it's canceled, it's canceled. And then talking to Ben, being like, yeah, that shoot's not happening, that shoot's not happening.
I had a producer and editor. And at first I had to like basically furlough them or freeze them and be like, I don't know what this is, but like, I can't pay you. And that was really hard. And I think like 2 weeks later, it was like, no, I need them and I need their help, you know? And it was scary to like unfreeze them, but it was like, I want to provide for these people and I want them to be the reason we also succeed. And it did turn around. You know, we did remote recorded productions and we did COVID compliant productions. So we made safety kind of our niche, you know, and like it wasn't fun to do, but it was what was there.
In Ben fashion was like, I'm gonna do this and like I'm gonna do it good. Like I'm not gonna do this to survive the pandemic. Like this might be the way things are forever. I'm gonna do these things and I'm gonna do them well.
It ended up being our best year ever financially. I think we doubled revenue and we got towards the end of the year and all of my permalancers were like, cool, but we need something more solid. Both my producer and my editor were moving to LA. So all of a sudden I had no producers, no editors. It was just me. And it felt like, oh, well, if nobody wants to be a part of this, why am I forcing this to still exist, you know? Like, and I didn't have anybody knocking on my door like, I want to be a part of this. It felt kind of bleak, I guess, at that moment. Is this the sign that I should close Oxenfree and just give up on this dream and join someone else's thing that they built? And that'd be okay, I guess. Something about that time to think encouraged me to pursue at least like one other avenue before making that decision. And I was like, if I want to rebuild Oxenfree beyond just me again, I want to do it as a business partnership.
I think you're in love.
We're a part of your community.
Are you gonna fail?
There's no compromise.
It just gave me a voice.
We want to be best in class.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.